There we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We have Ryan Holland today. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So for us, it's a Friday, the great way to end the week. So let's jump right in.
All right.
So Ryan, tell me, what is your favorite part about being an agent?
My favorite part is just the feeling that you get when you're closing a transaction and helping out a buyer or a seller, just knowing that you're helping them one way or another, whether it's finding a new home or an investment property. It's just such a great feeling. So that's what I enjoy most, working with people and helping them out.
That's awesome. Yes, I feel the same way. I feel like we're making people's dreams come true. We're building generational wealth. It's awesome to see what your clients do with the homes that, they're purchasing, and you kind of connect back with them, and you see down the line a couple years later you're like, "Oh my goodness, like it just changes lives." And it's
Yeah.
amazing to be part of that process. Yeah. So, what have you learned over the years that makes you an exceptional agent?
There's a lot that goes into that. I think there's a number of factors. Being able to educate a home buyer or seller on the process, what the market is like at the time, being knowledgeable about the area that you're covering, and being able to, have a network of other agents where you're familiar with all of them and know how to work with each individual agent in the area, and just having a lot of experience going through the process. At this point, I've represented a ton of buyers and sellers. I've bought numerous properties personally. So going through that process over and over and over again, you really just learn something every time, and so that experience is something that is really helpful for my clients.
Yeah, you become the subject matter expert, which is always good to have.
Yep.
You want experts on your side during this process. And that's like a perfect segue because what part of town do you specialize in? What are your areas?
So I grew up in Palo Alto,
Okay.
California, and so that is an area that I specialize in. But I work in a number of areas surrounding Palo Alto, most of the cities within a 15-minute radius.
Okay.
So on the northern end, San Carlos, on the southern end, down to Sunnyvale, Santa Clara. Really, I cover the Silicon Valley.
Okay. Okay. That
Yeah.
is good to know. Perfect. And then what can a potential buyer or seller expect from you?
Uh, Dedication, honesty, and just working in their best interest. I offer great communication. A lot of my clients in the past have always told me that I've been quick to respond, always looking out for their best interests. And another comment that I've got a lot in the past, which a ton of people appreciate, is I've never, or I've made it a point not to pressure anyone into making a decision that they don't feel comfortable with. I think what you get with a lot of agents is they're really excited to make a deal happen. And so they are encouraging their clients to proceed with an offer, or accept an offer that maybe they don't feel like is the right decision for them, whether it's buying or selling. So you hear this all the time with agents, salespeople being pushy,
Mhm.
and oh, they convinced me to go for it, but I wasn't sure I really wanted to. I take a mentality of like, I'm never going to tell the client whether they should do it or not. I'm going to tell them, here are the benefits, here are the drawbacks, here's what I think about this price, and you make the decision on your own. I'll give you all the information I can, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. So that's something that clients can expect from me.
That's huge. I think it's definitely underrated, but when you get into the process and you're buying or you're selling, I think it's a big part of it because this is such a huge portion. I guess you could say, like, real estate is probably one of the biggest investments you'll ever make in your life. And so whether you're buying or selling, like, this is something that is going to affect you and change your life in a major way. So it's good to
Yeah.
feel comfortable and confident with the decision that you're making and not feel like, we've all kind of been in those situations with a
Yeah.
salesperson where they're just like pushing and pushing and you're like, ah. So
Yeah.
no, that's awesome to hear.
You
Um,
you really want to feel like your agent is in your corner, as
yeah,
opposed to feeling like, oh, this person's trying to make the deal happen or make a transaction happen. You want them to really be in your corner. So that's something that I really focus on as an agent.
yeah, and I think it's super important. And it's really good to hear because we know there's a lot of, really great real estate agents out there. There's some that aren't so great. So it's good
Yeah.
when you find one that's honest and, has your best interest at heart. So that's amazing to hear. So what is your belief of the current market? What are you seeing? Like, I know that rates are starting to drop. Everyone's kind of chattering about where we think rates are going to go with, the presidential election and stuff like that. But you have boots on the ground. So as of right now, what are you seeing?
In the market.
Yeah.
It's sort of a mixed bag at this point. What I've noticed, well, I think what everyone's noticed is that there's a lot less demand for housing, but
Yeah.
there's a lot less inventory as well.
Yeah.
So a lot fewer transactions are happening at the moment. In terms of for each individual property, it really depends on um, the condition of the property. What I've noticed is that places that are in really poor condition are selling quickly, and places that are also in perfect condition are selling quickly. I think what you have is you have investors who are still in the market and they're looking for properties that maybe need renovations. They're looking for a deal. And so the properties that need a lot of work, those are selling quickly. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the places that are fully fixed up in great condition, maybe newer homes, those ones are quite a bit easier. When a buyer can be picky, they're generally going to go for something that's in that perfect condition. Or if they're an investor, they're going to be looking at, maybe something that's in really bad condition so that they can add more value to the property. So those two types of properties seem to be selling quickly, whereas some of those places in the middle, they're sitting on the market for a bit longer, and there's really not as much demand for all of those places.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And where do you think the market is going to go in the next couple months? Like, I guess, what should buyers and sellers kind of be expecting?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the next several months, I would expect to see an increase in supply. Generally, we see that over the summer, and we generally see continued supply growth towards the end of the year.
Mhm.
Not so much because of new listings, but there's fewer places that are going pending.
Yeah.
And because of that, the few new listings are adding to the supply, as opposed to new listings coming, but those getting sold right away. So as we come to the end of the year, we should see supply increase just based on a yearly cyclical nature of the market.
Yeah.
In terms of prices, I mean, my guess is as good as anyone's. I think that's, we don't have a crystal ball, and if we did, we probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, totally.
um, but what I can say is that lower interest rates will make homes more affordable. In
Mhm.
terms of anyone who's going to be getting a mortgage, the lower your rate, the higher purchase price you can afford. So if interest rates go down, that is one factor at play. Another thing that's interesting to note is when interest rates, or the Federal Reserve, after they start to raise rates, once they start to decrease rates, it is oftentimes followed by a recession.
Mhm.
So you want to be careful as a buyer and make sure that you're confident in your financial position before you decide to sell, or sorry, before you decide to buy.
Mhm.
And so I really couldn't say which way prices are going to go, but generally, as a buyer or homeowner, the longer you're in the market, the better off you're going to be. A lot of people in 2020 or 2021 might have been nervous about buying because, the whole thing with COVID, the pandemic. However, if you could just sustain or own the property for a couple of years and get 20-30% appreciation behind you, similar to what we saw over the last few years in 2020, 2021, 2022, then you're going to be much better insulated for any market downturn. If somebody bought a property in 2018 and it's gone up 40% in value, then you don't really care that much or you're not going to be that badly impacted if the value goes down 20%, because you still have a lot more equity than you started with.
Yeah.
So it's really more about time in the market than timing the market. And it's very hard for any individual to say where prices are going to be going in the next few months, year, anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like this market has been quite unpredictable, and in every different part of the country, we're seeing something different.
Yes.
Is what I've noticed, like, because I've been traveling and things like that. And so, in California, though, it still seems that our inventory is low, and the interest rates are starting to tick down. And so I feel like the farther they go, everyone who's been sitting on the sidelines is kind of like waiting and waiting and waiting, and then they're going to kind of jump in the game. So, what I've been telling my clients is, if you can afford to buy right now, buy. Like, you don't have a ton of competition. You're gonna have some instant equity as the interest rates do start to go down and the house prices go up. But be prepared, like you said, to be able to carry whatever that mortgage is for the next 1 to 2 years. Like, don't expect, I know a lot of people are predicting like, oh, you'll be able to turn around in 6 months and refinance and get a lower rate. And I kind of play more on the safe side, where, like, if you feel comfortable carrying this mortgage for the next couple years, you'll be in good shape, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think that people need to be prepared to hold it for the long run. And it's reasonable to think that interest rates will be going down. It doesn't seem sustainable with the level of debt we have for interest rates to be this high. As a
Yeah.
country, we have so much debt that it seems that at some point soon they'll have to go down, but nobody knows if there's going to be, big declines in 6 months or 5 years. And so you have to be prepared to hold your rate and pay your mortgage as it stands for at least the medium term, for a few years.
Yeah.
Additionally, with the market in the Bay Area and the Silicon Valley, it's maybe quite a bit different from other markets in the US, because we have so many of the home buyers here work for these tech companies like NVIDIA, and they've just gotten their stock prices have gone up so much that they have a lot more purchasing power than maybe home buyers in other parts of the country. So so we're in a bit of a unique market here in the Silicon Valley, and because of how strong the industry is around here, the tech industry, that is, we're a little bit more insulated against downturns. But we're also at such high price points that it's hard for people to get into the market.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. That's why they need an expert like you that knows what they're doing, can help them get either sellers get the best price or buyers get the best price on the other end of things. So is there anything else that you would like the buyers and sellers to know about you?
No, I mean, I'm open to taking clients. I'm happy to work with anyone who's interested in buying or selling a home in my area. And, I'd be happy to contact whoever might be listening and help them out.
Absolutely. So how do we get in contact with you? If anyone is interested in working with you, they want to buy or sell, or an investor, how do we contact you?
We can put my email address below, and
Mhm.
my phone number is 650-804-8917.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me, especially on a Friday. I know this is like the end of the week for you, about to get ready for the weekend. But I appreciate chatting with you and getting to know you a lot better.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you as well. Thank you for having me come on, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right, you too. Bye.